Hello, everyone. Welcome. Can you believe it? It's day 4 already of the Beyond the Food Weight Loss Summit Real Solutions for Women Over 40. My name is Pamela Pedrick, and I'm the creator and the host of the summit. And busy women come to me when they are ready to release the weight, get over the fatigue, and they want holistic, natural solutions designed for their unique bodies. So they stop regaining the weight back. And when they work with me via my Beyond the Fork Academy, we help them to have the right nutrition, the right environment, the right hormonal balance, and the right mind. And they get light, they feel fit, they get fit, they feel light and free. And the overarching theme with the women I work with is they want freedom. So today we have our day 4 of the speaker panel Q&A. So as you're watching this, by the way, whether you're live or watching the replay in the Facebook group, if you have any questions that come up afterwards, feel free to post them in the comment section. We have a lot of speakers are in the Facebook group. I'll make sure they get tagged in the post if it's a question specifically for them so that they can come back in the Facebook group and answer them for you. And by the way, you might have noticed by now there's some trivia questions. And there's one participant particularly who's been answering a lot of those trivia questions. So good job for you. And don't forget, fill out your bingo card. We've got prizes still up for grabs. So part of that was answering the trivia question. You already have a pass to the summit, and there's all kinds of different things that you can do to get bingo. We got some fabulous prizes from the speakers. So make sure that you hand that in. If you're not on Facebook, just simply go to hello@dietlessdieting.com and just send it in via email. So today, so far we got Julie, Liza, and Leon. So welcome to our speaker panel for this morning. So I'm curious, and Lisa, we'll start with you because you posted something in the speaker group that let's just start with that, talking about harmony and balance and so I'm
Oh, yeah,
curious.
sure.
Yeah, we'll just start with
Yeah,
that question.
it all goes back to what I talk about in my presentation, which is this whole idea of yin yang and the two polar
Yes.
energies of feminine and masculine, and the fact that we very rarely exist on either extreme, and we're somewhere in the middle. And what I like about the word harmony as opposed to balance is that it's very dynamic and it allows for flux and flow. Whereas
Yes.
for me, balance feels very static. You want to reach a certain, it may not be 50-50, but you may want to reach
Yeah.
like 80-20 or 50, whatever. And so for me, this idea that, we need to achieve work life balance is very difficult because we think about, oh, I didn't get there, therefore I'm a failure. And then the inner voices start. And so the idea of
Yeah.
harmony really allows that to be in flow and a much more sort of feminine way of being in the
Yeah.
world, because you're allowing certain parts of your life to take precedence over others. And there will be times when your career takes precedence over your
Yes.
family. And there are some times where your family will take precedence over your career. And the whole
Absolutely.
idea is it's all good. There will be times, and the idea of harmony is it will come back the other direction.
Yeah, yeah. And like you said, balance, like it doesn't need to be 50-50 or, 25, 25, 25, 25. And that in and of itself can cause stress if you're trying to make everything equalized, so to speak.
All the math, all the math.
Yeah. And you're like, wait, but what about this area over here? And I was actually in a mastermind where we would put in each week, we would self-assess where we are in different areas of our life. And we're like, every time we get one situated, the other one goes by the wayside. And it's, so we were like,
Yeah, and the
let's
word
just
harmony really allows for that.
yes. So we're just like, it's not going to be balanced all the time. I mean, it's not going to be like that. So we were reframing how we were going about things, which was awesome. So thank you so much for bringing that conversation because I know, and we're so used to, society, with how we grew up and things like that, that everything needs to be up to par and you're trying to do all things, but you're not going to be able to do all the things to the same extent, so to speak. So thank you so much for bringing that conversation. So Cindy, welcome. We were just started the conversation with balance versus harmony, and how balancing is a little bit more difficult, but if we just have some harmony in our lives, which that's the overall all theme that we were kind of touching on during the course of these Q&A sessions is, we want peace, we want freedom, but what does that actually look like? for us as well. If any other speakers want to speak to this, feel free to unmute yourself and let us know your thoughts. And also, yeah, go ahead, Leon.
Yeah, I think Lisa is talking about, yes, we need to be in balance, but in harmony with others as well. Harmony is more fluid, as I understand, but harmony is, let's say, in principle, I need to balance my life. So I need to balance my private, my workload, blah, 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 but it's not fixed. So it's idea having a balance, more like, or let's say, balance for me, and in my language anyway, it's more like it presents more physical, material balancing. Though when you're talking about harmony, you're with harmony with others, with nature, with living stuff. But more or less, they're,
Interconnected.
Yeah, they're
interconnected.
definitely related. I find that I switch them around because I want to introduce this idea of let's look at
Yeah.
it a different way. And it very often helps people. It's sort of like when people say I can't get motivated,
Yes.
I suggest, like, could you perhaps invite yourself to do this instead of motivating yourself to do this? So it's, for me, it's all language games because I study languages.
It absolutely is. I often say we need to
Yeah.
reframe how we talk about it, reframe how we think about it, because language is so powerful. We're always listening to what we say and what we think. Absolutely. So tell us more. Does any other speakers, Julie or Cindy, want to chime in on the harmony versus
Yesterday,
balance?
yesterday we talked a little bit about all or nothing thinking, black and white thinking, living in
Yeah.
the gray area. And I think this is very similar to that, if you're going to have, like people say, oh, I need a work-life balance.
Oh,
So
yeah.
many of us, especially us as women who struggle with weight, we want to be perfect and we have a lot of perfectionistic tendencies, and so
Yep.
it's hard yeah, me too, and I've really worked on that my whole adult life, is to get over that and to learn how to live in the gray area. Nothing's ever going to be perfect,
Hmm.
and if I'm trying to do something perfectly, or I'm trying to have that all or nothing type of thinking, I have to be all in on this, I have to do it perfect, I can't mess up, then we just really struggle because we're never going to achieve that. Where if you can learn how to live in the gray area, and so if you're between black and white, you're going to be
Hmm.
somewhere in gray, and so sometimes you're going to be closer to white and sometimes you're going to be closer to black, and that's true whether it's our harmony, our work-life
Yeah.
balance, our eating, our food intake, our exercise. All of it is always moving on this scale, and when we can get comfortable with that, it makes it so much easier because we're not trying to hit that perfection any
Yeah.
longer, and we're okay with the fact that it's not always going to be ideal. And
Yeah.
it's always going to be moving and always evolving and always changing. And that is life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when we can get to that point, things just become so much easier.
Yeah, I often say, it's about progress, not perfection. And
Hmm.
low activity days, there are times where I could say it's a low activity day.
Hmm.
What maybe you can only do one or two things, but it's so much better than nothing, a nothing day, so to speak. And
Hmm.
to give yourself grace as well. It's
Yeah,
life is always lifing on us, so to
that's
speak.
for sure. Yeah.
Leon, sorry, I
Yeah,
saw
sorry.
Leon's hand.
Everyone is talking always about black and white. How about the whole spectrum of rainbow? Because we don't
Hmm.
have, we never ever have
I like
just
purple myself.
A or B, yes or no. There's whole spectrum of everything in between. So I know that in at least in US, but please correct me if I'm wrong. When you have a test in school, you have A, B, C, D, right?
Hmm.
More or less.
And
This is A, B, good or
yep.
bad, period. If you have an answer A or B, there's always a C, minimum, always. This is my wife that is teaching me, and I, I'm the same. I was through all my life A or B,
Yeah.
maybe C or D, but there was no possible answer beyond A, B, C, D. But there's always the answer that is no one is looking. There's always something that you can do besides the offered choice. So talking about black and white and the grays, let's say the C, D, E, we have the whole alphabet, not just
Yeah.
English one. So and that's hard to comprehend. Just if we all have been, how to say, boxed into
Yeah.
A, B, C, D, and there is no possible answer beyond that or solution. But there's whole lot of things because when you're stressed, you're looking just like this. It can be like this, but it's always like this. So it's really important that we step back, calm ourselves down as much as possible, and look all possible solutions beyond what it's offered. Same here with same is with weight management. So as we talked through these days, there's weight management solutions for when you're in 20s, in 30s, 40s, and 50s. So and this is just generalification. This is ABCD. Still, now we have I don't know who. I think Dr. Melanie was talking about bio um, uniqueness.
Yes.
So
Bio-individuality.
for me, it's, I don't know, 47 doesn't work for my best friend that is also physical or also 47 eats more or less the same as I do, but doesn't work for him.
Yeah.
Because he has different digestive system. He has different.
Yeah, that's what I found for me, and I was just so frustrated with the whole dieting industry because that's what I'm a nurse, so even the
Yes.
medical field, it's eat less, move more. But I'm like, but what does that look like for me? Because I've been doing that and it's not really been working. And then I like flirted with keto. I'm like, my body does not like high fat, no matter how healthy it is. And then I was like, whoa, not going to do that again. And you go through these phases of certain eating ways of eating are very popular and we're all trying the same thing. We're like, but we're not seeing the results. So yes, bio-individuality absolutely plays a role into the foods or body. We also talked about, I think it was Dr. Melanie, about the food sensitivities as well,
Yeah.
because even healthy food can be a food intolerance as
Yeah.
well. Absolutely.
Unfortunately.
And Julie, you were gonna mention something else.
Actually, I forgot that
No
thought,
worries.
but I had a client yes, I had a client this week that asked me, said, I want a meal plan.
Mhm.
I want you to give me a meal plan. And, everybody is individual and everybody has different needs and everybody's body reacts differently. So I said, I can support you with developing a meal plan, but it has to be individualized. And so let's talk about your lifestyle. Let's talk about the foods you like. Let's put this together. But
Yeah.
as a coach, and that's out of my scope of practice anyhow, but people just want, like, just tell me what to do. But yet everybody is individualized. And when we can give them that support and help them walk through it and learn it and figure out what works for them, it's so much more supportive and effective for them.
Absolutely. And also the mind, the inner work, comes into
Hmm.
play because let's all be honest, we know that sugar is not the best. But yet when, and no shame or blame because it's a whole dieting mentality. Just tell me what to eat,
Hmm.
a very, from
Yeah.
my perspective, very diet mentality. But are you really going to follow if we
Right.
don't work on the inner work, because
Right.
sugar's an issue, and sugar's so addictive. I was a sugar addict. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm over those days, and it's so amazing how much better you feel, and you don't know how much you felt like crap until you're on the other end of things. You're like, oh my gosh, I felt like terrible. How did I even survive? Well, I was in survival mode, not thriving mode, to be honest.
But Pamela, you're talking about sugar in general.
Mhm.
So you have, but only addictive sugar, it's white sugar. That is
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
basically plain, like, I don't
Yeah.
know,
But here in the
plain,
States, it's just a whole like high
Exactly.
sugar
If
in a
you
lot of the
if you have
foods.
pure cane sugar
Yeah.
without processing, it's not
Hmm.
addictive. It's healthy. So healthy. Uh, in normal quantities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anyone
Everything is
watched that
healthy
sugar
in normal
film?
quantities except toxins.
Speaking about sugar, has anyone watched that sugar film on Amazon? Oh, watch it. So he literally, I cannot remember his name. Gruber? I can't remember his name. He's Australian, so he decided, and he lives a very, he knows what his body thrives on food wise. He does CrossFit, but his he was having a baby, and so he's like, there's a health issue in Australia, similar to us in the States. Obesity's on the rise, things like that. So he decided to eat what the medical community said to eat for heart health and general health, which was very high in carbohydrates, very high in sugar. He did this, I think, for 30 days, might have been a little bit longer. And so his typical breakfast would be eggs and avocado and, things that, some of the medical community would say, don't do eggs or don't do this. But he had to have 40 grams of sugar a day because that's what a typical Australian would consume. Typical day. And that you gotta watch it. It's so fascinating. Even his medical team was shocked at how poor his health ended up. He had ended up with fatty liver. He ended up addicted to sugar and was having withdrawals. When he came to the States, because he's interviewing experts here in the States, he said he was hard to get just 40 grams. He said he had a tendency to go over because sugar is in everything here in the States. It's fascinating. He goes through the insulin resistance and has little cute diagrams to demonstrate what happens in our bodies with that. But that sugar film, every time I watch it, I'm like, this is so good. Everyone needs to watch that. It's on Amazon. It's free on Amazon Prime if you have that Prime membership. But it goes into, which is when he said he was in the States and it was hard to get just 40 grams of sugar. I was like, yeah, there is a lot of sugar in our food here.
But if you look at the canned food is,
Yes.
let's say it's okay because you need to preserve seasonable vegetable for off season uh, consuming. But the only natural preservatives are vinegar and salt. That's it.
Yeah.
Or fermentation, nothing else. And if you go wherever on the planet to whatever store and you take any canned food, doesn't matter what it is. Sugar, water, sugar, vinegar,
Mm,
maybe a little bit of salt.
hmm.
That's it. So yeah, sugar is not just in almost every food, but they're sugar-rich
Yeah.
from uh, stuff inside besides ease.
Yeah. And I know
So
here in the States, I'm seeing a lot of sucralose being placed in the lower calorie foods. Are you noticing that where you guys are? Yeah,
yeah,
noticing. It used to be aspartame, now it's sucralose. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
But
Seeing a
it's
little bit of
worse,
stevia
worse.
monk fruit, but I've been seeing that change.
Yeah, the worst is if you look at the vegan options
Hmm.
for meat or it's nothing natural inside them.
Mm, hmm.
Just maybe if you took a pea base, then there's so much. Oh my God. So if whatever my wife takes from time to time just to make some um you know different meal, first half an hour checking the ingredients. If there is
Yeah, we just have to be, I call it
yeah,
label savvy. Like you just have to read your labels. Because
yeah,
even things that normally would be, okay, this is a great, they the company gets bought out, the formula changes, the ingredients changes, and the marketing can get you. Oh my gosh, here in the States, it's so horrible. It actually got me one day because I was grocery shopping and I was like, oh, these crackers are gluten free, and I'm like, okay, awesome. And I did not read the ingredients. I was one that was like, okay, awesome. I got hungry later on, like, oh, let me have those crackers. Within 30 minutes, I was having a bad headache. and I'm going through what have I had to eat today that's different, where, and I'm like, those crackers, ingredients list was that long. Lots
Uh,
of preservatives, lots of
look at
fillers,
the
and they were marketed as the healthier option.
yeah, but the eye opener would be ingredients that everyone puts in bread.
Mhm.
So it should be water, flour, fat, something of fat, and salt and yeast. That's it. So 5 ingredients, maybe some seeds if you like, but that's it. Now, not 20 that are usual, but I'm talking about healthy breads.
Oh, the yep.
If you go, if you see the gluten-free bread, oh my God.
Yeah,
There,
you gotta be gluten-free does
oh,
not mean healthy. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
yeah,
I just
but
wanted to jump in and say about the adding sugar to things that didn't used to have sugar. I've also noted a trend where I used to love a particular brand of tea, herbal teas. And all of a sudden I was like, why are these tasting different? They
Yeah.
taste sweet. And I looked at the label and they had added stevia to almost every blend that they make. And I was like,
Oh,
why?
we can
They
add it
were
ourselves.
okay. They were okay the way they were. But what it made me realize was how trained our palates are for sugar.
Yes.
And
Yes. The
I
bliss
work,
point.
yes, and I work at the medical center, helping people to order their meals within their dietary parameters. And I'm with some people, I actually call them out. They're like, I'll have a cup of coffee and I want 10 sugars and 2 creams. I'm like, do you usually get your coffee at Starbucks? Because I can pretty much pick those people out. It's because they're it's like
Yeah.
coffee is dessert. It's not
Yeah.
coffee. And so what I tell people that I'm working with about sugar is it's a matter of retraining your palate. And it's sort of like what Leon was saying about fake meats, like or alternative meat. If you're craving meat and you don't have any
have
issues with,
some.
animal ethics, things like that, if
Yeah.
you're doing it for health reasons, eat the meat.
Yes.
It's got one ingredient and it's not so
No,
processed.
not
Yeah.
anymore. Not
Yeah. Well,
anymore.
this is true.
Unfortunately,
Now
If it's
there's other
properly
unfortunately,
ingredients.
sourced.
not anymore.
If
Yeah,
it's
but
properly
For
sourced.
example,
Yeah.
a lot of people who think they have an allergy to eggs after actually have an allergy to soy because the chickens are fed a soy-based
Yep.
meal and it shows up in the eggs. And so it's just this total mess of what we've got going on in this country. And seems like we're exporting a lot of it. So I'm sorry for that, Leon. I
no
apologize
problem.
on behalf of my country.
No. It's not. It's not. The problem is, I live in Slovenia, so now I'm in Bosnia. Bosnian rules are,
Mm.
Slovenia is in European Union, and once upon the time we were in Yugoslavia, and the rules were strict. Period.
Mhm.
Food was healthy-ish because we have the whole region has huge amounts of flatlands that are suitable with really good soil. And if you have flatlands, you have big tractors because you can do a lot more, and you need to spray more because you're in monoculture. You need to spray because of all the pests and everything. But Slovenia and Bosnia are very hilly. We don't have much flatland, so there is not need. You cannot use big tractors on hilly slope because they will tip over basically, and patches of land suitable for farming are small-ish. So basically, in Slovenia and Bosnia, we had pretty decent food. But since we joined European Union, let's say that we import 90% of food needs.
Mm.
And they're coming from Netherlands, France, Italy, Germany, with huge farms spraying all over, and the food is empty basically, and have a lot of extra ingredients that it shouldn't have. Same goes with meat, because whatever you need to know that every animal is the end of food cycle. So we're the last. So as humans, basically, we are not prey. So whatever we put in the ground or on the veggies, whatever veggies that is, and these veggies are eaten by animals. So this is transferred to us, and we are the last resource of, let's say, a safe place. We keep all the bad stuff, because animal fat is very good for cooking. Basically, it tastes good, and it goes through our. Yeah, it does. If watch for the ointments and so, the animal fat is the only fat that goes through skin. So if you have some, let's say, arnica or whatever extracts, the only way to get to the muscle or to the joints, you need animal fat, because every other oil will get stuck in the skin. So you won't have enough transfer through the skin to where the actual medicine is needed. But the only animals that are, let's say, antibiotics free are horse, cow, or not cow, goat, sheep, and white animals, right? This is the only one, but all of those. So you cannot use goat fat because it smells. Sheep fat smells exactly a lot. So the only one you have horse in potentially big enough quantities. But horse is a cute animal, like dogs or cats. It's a pet, you know. If you ask the Hindus, they will have the same answer for cows. It's holy animal. But it is in one film said how cute the animal has to be that you won't kill them for your food. This is the only, let's say, reason. So if you're vegan because of animal rights or so where the veggies are coming from? Small gardens or big fields? Because they will plow through everything, including all the birds that live in the soil and everything. So your vegan food, it's not so vegan anymore. You know, that's the problem. So how cute the animal has to be that you're prepared to kill for your food. But we're talking about the animals. What about life itself?
I'm
Plants
posting
are
for those who
also
are
life.
watching. Sorry to interrupt, Leon, but
Yeah.
I'm just letting those who are watching know I'm posting the links to your gifts in the chat. So if you haven't had an opportunity to pick up, Lisa, Leon, Julie, and Cindy was here. I put Cindy's link to her gift in there as well. So I'm in process of posting them in
So
the chat.
sorry for interrupting all this, but this is all interconnected, and being for myself, being vegan because of the animal rights doesn't make any sense unless you prepare all your food by yourself and grow it. So if you still buying in supermarket, that's not vegan. It cannot be. So I'm against all the killing. I pray for every animal that I'm eating, when I'm eating, and this is once in a few months,
Hmm.
maybe a steak, maybe. I pray for that animal, but that's it.
So we started the session, if you came on late, talking about harmony versus balance and how harmony, balance is a little bit more, we're trying to 25, 25, 25, 25 or 50, 50, and that's really not sustainable. So to less stress, harmony is the word for the day. We talked about sugar. Sugar is a lot of food. I call it food that's not food in the States, especially the box packages, and talking about sourcing of food as well. So if you have any questions for our speakers, feel free to post them in the chat or just raise your hand. Now that we're on day 4, I like UFO unidentified food-like objects. I like that, Lisa. Unidentified food-like objects.
That's compliments
Love
to
that.
Marion Nestle. I cannot claim that, but I have adopted it. Yeah.
Love that. And then I just want to let those who are watching know. So I can't remember which day, but the book Haggitude. I think Lisa, did you put Haggitude? I said a lot of people purchasing that. So tell us a little bit about that book.
I came across that book because I was walking with a friend, fellow practitioner, acupuncturist, and we were talking about another great book if you're at all interested in Chinese medicine, which is Lady Tan's Circle of Women, and that is not it's not historical. It's very well researched, and it uses some original texts for its sources, but it is fiction. And this other book, Haggitude, was also recommended by this woman, and it's basically talking about hags with attitude and reclaiming the word hag and reclaiming the word crone. And for many years now, I've actually encouraged my clients to own the crone, because our idea of crone is very ugly, snaggletooth, old witchy
Yeah.
kind of woman. And what Sharon Blackie talks about in Haggitude is there's a really big difference between being elderly and being an elder. And so she's asking us to reimagine, how can we be elders in our current society, the way it is set up. And it's very timely. It was written in 2019, maybe even 2020. So there's some really interesting commentary on current culture. And she's writing from the perspective of the UK. So it's interesting to see the crossovers and things like that. But I love how she is a psychologist and folklorist. And so she brings in all of these fairy tales and folk tales and talks about, like, have you ever paid attention to how the older women are in that? Like, who are they? What purpose do they serve? As a little kid, you're terrified of the witch, right? But as an adult,
Disney
can you
films.
reread that? Yeah, well, exactly. Can you reread that as an adult and look at what purpose is the older woman serving in this? And I'm partway through the book, but she talks about different sort of archetypes. Like, one of them is the spinner weaver. One of them is, the sort of person getting into good trouble over on the side because nobody's really paying attention. So she can cause a little good trouble. So it's definitely worth a read, especially if you struggle with the idea of perimenopause and menopause. And it's just a very, very uplifting, although serious book about what it's like to be a woman over 60 in today's world. So highly recommend.
Interesting. Thank you
Haggitude.
for
Hags with attitude.
Hags with attitude.
Own the crone. Own the
Hashtag
crone.
hags with
Hashtag
attitude.
hag.
I love that. I love that. So, any words of encouragement for our participants from? We'll start with Julie. Words of wisdom, encouragement.
I think probably my words of wisdom for today is just to take things one step at a time. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. If you take it, it can seem very overwhelming. And I'm sure even for our participants, if you've watched a lot of the presentations, you've probably heard different ideas, different concepts, you may feel very overwhelmed by
Yeah.
all of the presentations and where do I start and what do I do first? And I would recommend to do the one thing that sticks out in your mind that seems easiest
Yes.
for you, that feels doable, that is almost a not fail type of
Mhm.
step for yourself. Because what will happen is you will have success with that. And then you can go back to the presentations. Hopefully you did the VIP, so that you can have lifetime access to them. But if not, if you took some notes,
Mhm.
go back through your notes and then, okay, what's my next step? What's the next thing that I'm going to implement to live a healthier lifestyle? And, when I think of my own journey, there's things that took me years to really
Mhm.
feel like I had them in place and they were now easy. But
Yeah.
when I look back over the last 20 years, the changes that I've made and the things that I struggled with in the past that I no longer struggle with
Mhm.
because I was willing to take it one step at a time. And I think, let's try again, don't try to be perfect. Don't try to do everything at once. Just pick out one thing today that you're going to start working on today, put it in place, make it happen. And then when that feels comfortable, then pick the next step. And before,
Yes.
if a year from now, when you look back, you're going to be like, wow, look at all the progress that I've made.
Mhm.
So just, yeah, don't let the overwhelm get to you and just take it one step at a time.
Yes, I love that. In fact, in the emails post summit, I speak directly to that. So pick
Mm.
one thing that you feel like, yes, I can absolutely do, and then layer in the next one, and then the next one. Yeah, you don't do it all because that's where frustration, overwhelm comes into play because you feel like you got to do all the things. Just pick one or two, things to get started on. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jolie, because it is so important to not, get back into a stress mode, feeling that overwhelm and frustration because then we get stuck, we get in the stall mode because it's too over, especially in, the season of life where potentially taking care of elderly parents, on top of things and, all the everything that comes into play with that. Absolutely. And also take care of you. Please take care of yourself. Most importantly, that's my word of encouragement. Take care of you. Put yourself a little bit higher on your list of priorities because you cannot give from an empty vessel. You can't serve anyone with a body breakdown. That was me back in the day. I worked myself where to my body, I wasn't slowing down, so my body made me for a week, and that was not fun. So yeah, so take, one or two tips, and hopefully you have downloaded the guides and the resources that the speakers have gifted you. And I always recommend make a little folder in your email provider that will have those resources so you don't lose them, so that when you're ready to layer in the next one, you have easy access to them or Google Drive or however you do it. I usually make a little folder in my email for that. Absolutely. Thank you so much. How about you, Lisa? Any words of encouragement or wisdom?
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you, Julie, for bringing that up. That is
Yes.
just so, so good. And thank you, Pam, for like adding that on at the end also. I would add that I think if someone, I work with a lot of women and I ask them like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Like nobody has asked them that for decades. What
Yes.
do you
Yes.
want? And
Yes.
so they say, oh, I don't know. I'm not intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Julie is saying, pick the one that resonates, pick the
Yes.
one that feels right. A really quick exercise, a really embodied exercise for that is called the sway test.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when you think about doing something, like if movement is your thing, or if nutrition is your bag, like what do you sway toward? Like, oh, I'd like to try that. And what do you just go, oh,
No.
hell no. And it's a physical reaction.
Yes.
And you can actually use it for anything. You can use it for food. Like, is this the thing I need to be eating right now? If you sway towards it, it's for you. And if you're like, oh no, it's not for you. So just to sort of tack on to what Julie said
Yeah.
about how do you choose what is the first step for you. And I wanted to actually raise up something that Leon said about creativity and more options, like having the
Yes.
whole alphabet to choose from is really important. And when we get stressed out, we tend to go into fight, flight, freeze, and there's no productive conversation to be had at that point. So I always use that example when we have inner voices that are critical of us. Even your own inner voice can put you into fight, flight, or freeze. And there's no conversation going to happen after that. So if you are dealing with emotional eating and you think, oh God, why did I eat that again? It's very different if you change your tone and say, huh, why did I eat that again? Because all of a sudden your body's like, oh, I'm not going to be yelled at. Oh, okay. And your mind can suddenly think of, oh, I ate that because I hadn't gone to the grocery store. So next time I need to have better options at home. I ate that because I went out with friends who weren't making good choices. And so I just kind of went along with it. So if you put yourself in a stress response, you're not going to have the whole alphabet. You are going to have A, B, maybe C, D, and they're all going to be not good choices.
Yeah,
So that would be my
yeah.
advice. Think about not staying in stress mode when you're trying to make
Yeah.
creative options for yourself.
Yeah, and I often say, look at it with curiosity. If you did eat food,
Curiosity, not judgment.
look at it with
Exactly.
curiosity. And I always say, oh, I'm curious. Why am I in the pantry now going for these cookies? How did I get
I
to this point?
wonder. I
Oh, I
wonder
haven't
is a
sleeping
great
well.
phrase. Yeah.
Because
Oh,
it's
isn't that amazing?
so automatic. A lot of our behaviors, it's like driving, to a destination that you drive all the time, and you're like, how did I get here? I don't remember my drive. How did I get to this pantry? Yeah, look at it with curiosity. Absolutely. I love that. And real quick, Leon, because I do need to hop off for another call. When with you.
Yeah, well, I was just writing, this is all stress-induced cravings. So
Yeah.
different kind of stress, but it is stress. So we are not talking about anymore about reducing stress or getting rid of, just managing it. Because it's impossible to get rid of it anymore. It's impossible. So as Lisa is told, yeah, look beyond A, B, C, D. There is a lot of options.
Yeah.
And yeah, manage stress. And I am preparing not even the book, the whole series of I don't know what, but it will be something about detox is already done to 80%. So everything else will follow. But yeah, stress management,
Absolutely.
actually holistically.
Yes. Yes. And I talked about that on day 2, from stress to success. Absolutely, because that was my story. I was stressed out body. No fun. I'm like, don't don't be where I was. Because if you don't slow down, if you don't manage your stress properly, your body's gonna make you. And that's no fun. But to pick one or two things that resonate with you that you're like, yes, I'm going to do this, and maybe have some you have some excitement about it, and don't worry about the rest. You can layer them in later, and then you just keep those, free gifts from the speakers that they've given you handy. Print them out, whatever works best for you, so that when you're ready to layer in the next one, you have it easily accessible. We are coming into the summer here in the States, and that can be a time of, not because we're out of a routine, especially if you have kids, you're out of that school year routine. It can be a time of things get out of routine. So use this summit to maintain and maybe take it up to the next level, as well for you, because you are worth it. You deserve it. You get to have it. Thank you so much for all of our speakers, for you guys for hanging in to day 4. So at 1 p.m. Eastern time is the final live closing session. I will announce the winner of the scholarship to the Beyond the Food Academy. You do not need to be on live to win, because I do have your contact information. So this will be the same Zoom link to your health. And congratulations, virtual high five, for hanging in there for the past 4 days. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Pamela.
Thanks,
You're
Pamela.
welcome.
Thank
Nice
you.
to
Bye-bye.
meet you all.
Bye.